Hi class, so today I will be talking about the article that my group read called Who Pays for Family Leave. So a little background on this article: the author was a brand new mother and she was forced to go back to work after having 3 months paid maternity leave. With her newborn baby only being 15 weeks old, she was nervous to leave her child with this stranger and she thought of all options of how not to. With no other responsible options for these new parents, like many other new parents, the mother had to go back to work. They then turned to a daycare to take care of their newborn. Then, on the first day of leaving her son at the daycare, the worst possible outcome happened. The mother came back only 2.5 hours after leaving her son at the daycare to find that he had died in their care. The parent's worst nightmare had happened because she was forced to leave her child in the care of other people. Although unexplainable infant deaths are rare, this mother strongly believes that if she had been home with her son, this incident wouldn't have happened. Her main question to the issue in this article is, why does a parent in this country have to sacrifice her job, her ability to provide her child with proper health care, or in some instances enough food to eat, to buy just a few more months to nurture a child past the point of vulnerability? The author believes that our entire culture has very little value on caring for infants and small children. She states that if we as a culture really did believe that we cared about women in the workforce and the value of our families, things would be different. She strongly believes that our national parental leave system doesn't work. So, a theory that matches this article would be prima facie ethics, which is the free consent after sincerely considering a situation via the decision procedure. Ross also mentioned that there is always a correct answer in an apparent conflict of duties, and based it on what our professors calls intuition. Ross says there are 7 different duties that we follow when making a decision. In a given decision, there's always the weightest, our actual and concrete duty is the duty we should perform. This is the absolute obligation determining the action that the person ought to perform. Does not determine what the most pressuring duty is, as it provides a procedure which allows us to say no one could fault our decision. So that was prima facie ethics.
This case and Ross's prima facie ethics are perfect fits in regard to ethical theory. One point that sticks out to me in prima facie ethics that I think implements well into this case is his disagreement about whether duties of justice can ever conflict. In the case, Amber Sco has 2 conflicting issues that she has to address. Should she leave her job, regardless of the consequences that will come with it, to stay and nurture her baby? Or should she stay at her job and leave her child in the hands of a daycare and take the risk that comes with that? Ross's 7 duties he presents us with in prima facie ethics can also help us gain a better understanding of this case. With the duty of fidelity, Amber needed to fulfill her role of responsibilities of being a mother for a 6-month-old child. Limitation of her maternity leave was what prevented her from having this happen. For the duty of reparation, Sco felt like she owed something to her child to be there for him. In regard to gratitude, Amber had an appreciation for both her baby and her job, which is what made this decision to leave her child so difficult. With non-maleficence, Sco was trying to do what she thought was best without harming her child or harming her job. For the duty of justice, she was attempting to find what was both fair for her job and her child. With beneficence, she was trying to avoid harming her child as much as she could. And lastly, self-improvement, she was attempting to use her abilities to nurture for her child as much as possible. And the issue of this case is whether or not Amber Sco should be able to receive more maternity leave from the company that she works for. Due to the fact that she was not able to receive more maternity leave, she was then obligated to leave her son at a daycare, and it ultimately resulted in her son Dave's death. The main question that comes up is, why does, in this country, someone had to make the decision of sacrificing their job or sacrificing their ability to provide for their child during the first months that the child is born. You can't forget the company's point of view of this issue as well. For the company, you want to accommodate for your employees as much as possible when they have their newborn child, but at the same time, you cannot forget about the business aspect of things. At some point, the company will need that employee to return. It is also important to look at the daycare and evaluate decisions they made leading to the death of Amber's son, Dave. Was it the daycare's fault that Dave had died? That will vary depending on who you ask. However, Dave's death is obviously not something that commonly happens, and blaming the incident on the daycare center seems a bit irrational. Could they have done things to better accommodate the situation at hand? Yes, they probably could have, but you can't blame the whole situation on them. Lastly, it is important to know that Amber does not blame the daycare center or her job for what had happened to her son. It was just a series of very, very unfortunate events.